What's going on, guys? I'm your host, Marshall Green, and you are watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. We got a lot to unpack following the brutal loss the Giants took to the Philadelphia Eagles. We got some QB rumors to get into, which we'll get into in just a sec. And we're also going to touch on, is it already out that the Giants are going to upgrade and promote Kevin Abrams from assistant general manager to replace Dave Gettleman? We'll talk about that later. But first, let's talk about Marcus Mariota. Yeah, the backup quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. Ralph Vacchiano, a noted New York Giants beat reporter, he listed Mariota as a potential Jones replacement. He's currently the backup for the Raiders and will be an unrestricted free agent this upcoming offseason. And as a starter in his NFL career, he's 29 and 32. Since he's joined the Raiders, he's primarily just been the backup for Derek Carr or David Carr. Or Derek Carr, David Carr? I don't know. They play the same. They both stink. It's Derek Carr. I know. I'm just playing a trick on you. Make sure you're paying attention. It is Derek Carr. But yeah, he's just been the backup. He's come in on some running situations where there's been designed QB runs. And let's just get to what Vacchiano had to say about Mariota. I thought it was pretty interesting. It wasn't that long ago that he was the second overall pick in the draft, the 2015 draft, and he's still only 28 years old. He never lived up to his lofty potential, but his first 2 years in the NFL weren't bad. He can throw, he can run, and there are some NFL people who think he can still play in the right situation. The Giants probably aren't a right situation for anybody, but he might be the best bet of an old, backup, heavy free agent crop. He could be an interesting stopgap for a couple of years until the Giants find another quarterback of the future. Might be worth bringing him in to compete with Jones next year at least. We'll get into what his numbers and what Marcus Mariota has done so far in his NFL career. But first, before I show you the numbers and give you some more, substance to stand on, let me know. Do you want the Giants to sign Marcus Mariota this upcoming free agency? Type Y for yes or type N for no. In his best season of his NFL career was in 2016, where he started 15 games, led the Titans to the playoffs, and was 8-7 as a starter. He completed 61% of his passes, threw for just under 3,500 yards, 26 tutties, 9 interceptions. He also had 60 carries for 350 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns, so for 28 total touchdowns on the season. That was his best season as a starter. His worst as a starter was in 2019, where he started just 6 games. He completed 59.4% of his passes. He only threw for 1,200 yards, 7 TDs, 2 interceptions. But things that I do like about Marcus Mariota: he's had 2 seasons of over 3,200 yards passing. He has a season of 20 touchdowns and 26 touchdowns. This is a guy that has shown some flash in the NFL. This year, he hasn't completed or thrown a single pass, just 6 carries for 48 yards. He does have a rushing touchdown. We all know about the wheels for Marcus Mariota. Those were showcased at Oregon. But this is a guy that I think should come in for the Giants if they were to sign him to compete with Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is better, but I think he'll push Daniel Jones in competition, and I think he's a more serviceable backup, than a guy like Mike Glennon or Jake Fromm. He's much better than those guys, and I think at this point with Daniel Jones, due to his neck injuries and just the injuries that have always popped up over the years, you need a solid backup, and I think Ralph had a good point for bringing up Marcus Mariota, and I like the idea of him playing for the New York Giants. If the Giants sign Marcus Mariota, we'll be breaking it down on this channel, youtube.com/NYGiantsTV. We're currently at 3,661 subs, and I want to get to 4,000 subs as soon as possible, because once we do, we will be able to do videos every single day. The bosses, they understand we're growing, and we're one of the highest revenue shows here at Chat Sports that don't have live shows. And once we get to 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 subs, we'll be able to do live shows every single week and live watch parties on Sunday. So if that sounds interesting to you, go down and hit that big red button. Have the Giants already told Kevin Abrams that he is going to be the next general manager for the New York Giants? Who is Kevin Abrams? Why would the Giants promote him? Here's some background information on him. He's been the Giants' assistant GM for 20 years and has been with the organization for 23 3 years. He got an interview with the Giants in 2017 when they fired Jerry Reese and hired Dave Gettleman. There was a lot of reports that said he should have been the guy. He was the guy in waiting. Well, they went with Dave Gettleman, and that was a mistake because he has been absolutely brutal as the Giants general manager. What does Kevin Abrams do? Right now, he handles the Giants salary cap and contracts. There's reports coming out now that he has had no decision on player personnel. It's just Dave Gettleman makes these moves and then throws it on top of Kevin Abrams' desk and says, get the salary cap right. So I wouldn't blame the salary cap hell that the Giants are in on Abrams. I think that falls still on Dave Gettleman. He just does what he wants, and since the Giants and Kevin Abrams is a cap expert, he expects him to just fix it. But Adam Schefter, he came out with this report Sunday morning when you were still recovering from that, I almost said Easter, but Christmas eggnog, 5:13 on December 26th a.m., he said this. The New York Giants plan to bring back head coach Joe Judge and quarterback Daniel Jones for the 2022 NFL season per sources. And the reason I think that we already know Kevin Abrams is going to get upgraded and promoted is because how are you going to say to a GM that's not even been hired yet, this is going to be your head coach no matter what, and this is going to be your QB no matter what? And these are two guys that haven't really proven that they are franchise guys in the NFL. Why would a GM walk into a situation where he can't choose his coach and he can't choose his quarterback? Doesn't make a lot of sense. But what about a guy like Kevin Abrams who knows that he's going to get promoted, and the Giants have already told him they want to rock with Judge, they want to rock with Jones. I think Kevin Abrams, he's going to be that internal hire that continues to do the same old that the Giants have done. But Giants legend Lawrene Tynes, he doesn't believe that Kevin Abrams is going to be the same old. He thinks he'll be different. This is what he had to say in a recent podcast about Kevin Abrams. I would like to see Abrams be named general manager of the New York Giants. I say that because he's been here for a long time, 23 years. He should have been hired last cycle before Gettleman, and I think we would have avoided this mess that we're in. But I think he deserves a shot to run this team. And here's how I'll say it. If we're keeping Judge, you give Abrams 1 year. And if it doesn't work out, you fire everyone next year. I know that's not what we want to see or want to keep doing, but I would love to see Kevin Abrams get a shot at running this team. I think he's different. I know him personally. I think he's different than some of these guys that have had the reins before. And it's upsetting that Tynes says these things because, look, you can't just bring someone else in that's already a part of the problem. I'm not saying the problem is Kevin Abrams, but he has contributed to the problem, no doubt about it. But we're going to continue to talk about Kevin Abrams, but I want to know how you would feel if he was promoted. Type H for happy or type P for pissed. Hiring Kevin Abrams, in my opinion, would be a mistake. You're already thrusting a new or new head coach, as in Joe Judge, and a quarterback that hasn't really proven that he's it so far. I still believe in Daniel Jones. I'm still in on him. But to say no matter what, that whoever the GM is coming in, you're going to put out a report that they are solidly locked into their spots, I don't think that's fair. I understand that Kevin Abrams has been with the Giants for 20 years, and he's been there the past 23 years. But I'm tired of the internal hires. I'm tired of the country club attitude that the Giants have. The good old boys just keep on bringing the guys back, and let's just run it back because we've been great in the years past. I don't want to see Kevin Abrams hired without. I'm okay if he gets hired, but it can't be without a true league-wide search. And one thing I want to touch about Lawrene Tynes. He said that the Giants should give Kevin Abrams 1 year. That makes no sense. Why would you give a guy 1 year to just fire Joe Judge the next year? What would Abrams have to do in that 1 year to stay as the general manager? It's going to be an uphill battle for whoever becomes the next Giants general manager. And Kevin Abrams, if he's that guy, he's got a large hole to dig out of. And I'm not even sure what the expectations are for him in year one. So for Tynes, just to say that he has 1 year to prove it, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And follow me on Twitter, because I tweeted at Lawrene Tynes when he put this article out, and he liked my tweet, but he didn't answer it, and I asked a question, he just liked it. That was weird. I appreciate you, Lawrence, for making all those kicks and getting the Giants to the Super Bowl twice, but don't be a weirdo. Don't just like my tweet. Give me a response. And everybody that's still watching at this point, you're a real one, because the real ones always finish these videos. Not everybody does. So for everybody that follows me on Twitter today, I will follow them back and give them a shout-out on the next New York Giants Now.